3 spine-chilling true 4th of July terrors exposed, sinister secrets you won't believe. In the idyllic suburb of Maplewood, July 4th promised a day of joy, but Lisa's heart raced beneath a smiling facade. She'd moved to this neighborhood to escape the chaos of her past, but now it felt as if the ground beneath her was shifting. The aroma of barbecues mixed with laughter floated through the air, but a creeping dread clung to her like an unshed tear. For weeks, she had received mysterious letters, each bearing warnings of darkness hidden beneath their cheerful gatherings, secrets she refused to acknowledge until now. As fireworks began to bloom overhead, she caught a glimpse of Officer Daniels, always a friendly face, his eyes darting, skimming the crowd as if searching for something or someone. Unease gnawed at her. The whispers exchanged between neighbors felt charged, full of chilling implications that made her skin prickle. This was supposed to be a celebration, yet an invisible thread of suspicion wove among the crowd, tightening like a noose around her chest. "Mom," her daughter Mia had shouted moments ago, racing off to join friends. Now, a sense unraveling inside Lisa made her blood run cold. She had looked away for just a second. Panic struck, a tightness in her throat, a tremor in her voice. Frantically, she called out for Mia, her voice swallowed by the booming fireworks. In her heart, she could feel a storm brewing, a visceral fear. What if the letters weren't just wild paranoia? What if the horror was indeed real, lurking within the edges of their perfect suburban bliss? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Lisa stumbled through deserted streets and shadowy backyards, she felt as if she were stepping into a nightmare forged of Maplewood's forgotten past. Old graffiti on a fence, slogans of an angered youth whispered stories of betrayal and loss. Each step tightened the grip of despair around her heart. The kind of dread that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand at attention. She found remnants of broken swing, an overturned flower pot, each an echo of the cursed history that lingered here, tales of families torn apart by a darkness that resurfaced every Independence Day, claiming victims whose names she was starting to recognize. With every frantic glance around, every shout of her daughter's name, a deeper terror enveloped her. The laughter that filled the air now felt like a mockery, a taunt from the very people she once trusted. And then she saw it. A shadowy figure darting between the houses, too familiar. Heart-pounding, Lisa pursued, the air thick with anxiety. How far would she go to protect her child? The last firework exploded overhead, brightening the darkness for just a heartbeat, and as it faded, questions loomed larger than any celebratory spark. Lisa's hands trembled against the oppressive weight of the secrets she unearthed, and the truth about her community began to seep through the cracks of denial. With time slipping away and hope dwindling, Lisa stood at the precipice of terror. In that moment, amid the shouts and cheers drowning in a sea of confusion, she faced an undeniable truth: some monsters were not cloaked in shadows, they wore friendly faces. Would she uncover the chilling secrets before they devoured her and her daughter whole? Lisa's breath came in short, jagged gasps as she chased the shadow. Each thump of her heart echoed in her ears like the distant booms of the fireworks, reminding her that time was slipping away. Where was Mia? The thought of her daughter, alone and vulnerable, fueled Lisa's desperation. She burst into a small alley, the darkness thick and almost suffocating. Shadows seemed to stretch and curl around her, each whispering promises of unseen horrors. The figure was still ahead, a swift blur that darted into the overgrown backyard of an old house. Lisa hesitated, unease coiling in her stomach. This house, vacant for years, was said to be haunted. Whispers about a family torn apart on the 4th of July, their screams swallowed by the explosions in the sky. But the fear of another moment lost drove her forward. Mia! She screamed, her voice cracking like the firecrackers overhead. She rounded the corner to confront the empty yard, the wind curling through long grass like ghostly fingers. A chill crept up her spine. Was it just the cold air, or was something else out there? Ahead, the figure paused, framed by the moonlight. It was a child. Relief surged through Lisa until the child turned face hidden in shadows. The silhouette was uncanny. No one should be here except Mia and her friends. Who are you? She barked, voice trembling. A giggle echoed a sound that struck icy panic into her heart. The child took a step forward, the moonlight slicing through the darkness revealing familiar features, a warped reflection of Mia. It was too much, the way it looked just like her daughter but had an unsettling edge. Real or illusion? The line blurred as she struggled with disbelief. Come play. The child's voice rang out, echoing in the night as if it were taunting her. Mia. Lisa's soul screamed the name this time, her fear now a living thing clawing at her insides. She stepped closer, torn between the impulse to protect and the dread of getting too close. With each step, the other child's face twisted into a smile that was far too wide, too knowing, as if it could see Lisa's every fear. Suddenly, a shriek rang out, breaking the enchantment. It was Mia. The sound drew Lisa's attention, an arrow of panic piercing her heart. It came from the park, an old playground where Mia had played before, where laughter had turned to echoes. Lisa sprinted back, the shadow child fading behind her, laughter ringing eerily in her ears. The park was in chaos. People had gathered, all faces painted with horror. As Lisa approached, she spotted Mia trembling, surrounded by kids who had all turned silent, eyes wide and mouths agape. But it was not Mia's face that made Lisa's heart drop, it was the dark figure looming behind them, just outside the glow of the lamppost. It stood still, watching, the features masked in shadow. Lisa felt the world vibrate with an unnatural energy, as if the very ground was vibrating with a warning. Officer Daniels pushed through the crowd, his expression grave. We need to leave. Now. Panic surged as the man turned, glancing at the shadow. But when Lisa looked, it had vanished, as if it had never been there. The air chilled, and a sense of dread cascaded over the gathering. What is happening? Lisa demanded, grasping Officer Daniels' arm. He hesitated, then whispered, we need to go home, and stay inside. It's not safe out here tonight. But why? Did the officers know something? Would they expose the truth, or were they complicit? In that moment, doubt twisted inside her like a knife. As shadows deepened and a foreboding silence descended, Lisa turned to see Mia still standing, the other children withdrawing from her. What had happened? What had drawn the nightmare so close to them? The feeling of being watched tightened around her throat as she clutched Mia's hand, ready to flee, when the sound of laughter rang out wild and unhindered, like an invocation of the night's true horror. Lisa's heart raced. What did that laughter mean? Who was really out there in the darkness, waiting? She took a halting breath, knowing that the night had just begun to reveal its sinister secrets. The crowd began to disperse, but Lisa felt rooted to the spot, her heart pounding like a drum as dread coiled tighter around her. Mia was still staring at the spot where the dark figure had loomed. Mommy, I'm scared, Mia whispered, her voice trembling. We're leaving, Lisa said, tugging at Mia's hand and forcing her to move. The laughter that had echoed moments before twisted in Lisa's head, haunting and insistent, like a child's playful taunt in the night. She glanced over her shoulder, but the park was emptying out, the laughter fading, leaving a silence so profound it felt like a weight pressing down on her. Officer Daniels was scanning the darkness, eyes darting back and forth. Stay close, he called, moving toward his squad car, the urgency in his voice crystal clear. The flickering lights from the police vehicle glowed like beacons of safety as Lisa hurried toward it, her pulse racing in her ears. Once inside the car, the familiar whir of the engine filled the space, but comfort was a fleeting notion. What do you know? Lisa pressed, trembling as Mia pressed her head against her shoulder. Daniels glanced back, a shadow flitting across his features. There's been reports of something strange tonight, especially around here, he admitted, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Strange how? Disappearances, kids going missing, and we've never found them. The 4th of July has always had an unsettling history in this town. We can't just sit here. Lisa exclaimed, biting back the panic rising in her chest. What if it comes back for her? Daniels didn't respond, but the tightened lines of his jaw spoke volumes. As they shot out of the park, the lights from the police car illuminated the street ahead. Shadows danced and slithered along the sidewalks, even the flickering street lamps seemed to cower in fear. The deeper they drove into the heart of the town, the more unsettling it felt. People bustled past them, laughing and celebrating, unaware of the lurking darkness. A thick haze hung over the atmosphere like a malfunctioning magic trick, the festive spirit scrubbing away at the chill creeping up Lisa's spine. "Mom, can I have my phone?" Mia asked, voice small. "Not now, sweetie," Lisa said, gripping Mia's hand tighter, but Mia persisted with a certainty that sent shivers through Lisa. "I need it. Please. Just hold on." "We'll be home soon," Lisa urged, trying to project calm while a storm of terror raged inside her. Just then, a figure darted across the street, a child, laughing, disobeying the current of the celebration. Lisa's breath hitched as memories flooded back, the shadow child, the laugh that chilled her bones. "Look!" Mia shouted, pointing at the child. Lisa turned her head, and for a split second, the air turned excruciatingly still. The child looked directly at them, and Lisa's heart dropped. It was the same face she had seen moments ago, the warped reflection of her daughter. "Get down!" Daniels barked, panic flared in his voice. As Lisa instinctively hunched over Mia, she felt something brush against her shoulder, a caress that sent chills racing down her spine. It was as though the shadows had come alive, wrapping around her like icy tendrils. Forcing herself to look back, she locked eyes with the child who now beckoned her with its hand. "Mia!" The shriek tore from her lips as the car swerved, her fingers tightening around the door handle like it was all that held her together. The laughter echoed again, pure, joyful, terrifying. Just then, the car lights flickered and died, swallowing them in darkness. "Stay quiet," Daniels hissed, peering out into the shadows. But what was lurking out there? What had come for them? Then, from the velvet black, a chorus of voices rose, children's voices, sweet and sing-song, drifting on the wind. The darkness thickened, swallowing everything. "Mommy?" Mia murmured, her eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, a tapping, a rhythmic, urgent rapping on the window. "Let us in," a child's voice pleaded. Lisa's spine tingled. A breathless question tumbled in her head: who was behind that glass? As the heartbeat of fear quickened within the car, Lisa felt the terrible weight of reality. Returning home might not be safe after all. What awaited them in the night was about to unveil its true horror. It was clear the nightmare had just begun. The darkness pressed in, thick and suffocating, as Lisa's heart pounded uncontrollably. She clutched Mia, feeling her daughter's small body tense against her. Each whispered voice outside held a sweetness that tasted like poison, curling around her like a noose. "Get a grip," Officer Daniels muttered, glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. Outside the car, shadows coalesced, forming indistinct shapes, and the tapping on the window continued, urgent and persistent. "Don't open the door, no matter what you hear," he warned, his voice shaking slightly. Lisa nodded, her breath shaky. She tightened her grip on Mia. "Stay close to me. Just don't look," she whispered, squeezing her eyes shut, praying the nightmare would vanish. Another round of laughter erupted, echoing through the eerie stillness. It was high-pitched, relentless, the kind that should be joyous, but here it twisted her gut into knots. A small face approached the window, a child's face wrapped in shadow, its eyes glimmering with unholy glee. "Mia! Mia!" it sang sweetly, a familiar lilt that sent icy fingers of fear crawling up Lisa's spine. The resemblance was uncanny, yet so wrong. Lisa opened her eyes only to find Mia's gaze fixed on the figure. She was mesmerized, baited by its serpent-like charm. No. Don't look. Desperation clawed at Lisa's throat as she turned Mia's head away, but the pleading voice only grew louder, more insistent. It's okay. It's safe. Let us in. Daniel's face paled, and he yanked the door locked. Stay back. He yelled, raising his voice above the chaos outside. Then silence like the world drew a breath. All the voices stopped, and an unsettling stillness fell upon them. The child's face faded back into shadows, leaving only lingering echoes of laughter that danced like specters on the wind. Are we safe now? Mia asked, her voice small and shaky. Daniel swallowed hard. I don't know. Just when the tension momentarily eased, a sharp crack fractured the quiet, a sound so close it felt like an axe was struck against their car. Lisa jolted, her heart hammering wildly. The frightful noise came again, a heavy thud that reverberated off the vehicle, making the metal groan in protest. What was that? Lisa screamed, eyes wide as she looked at Daniels. Just stay calm, he began, but was cut off by a loud scraping noise, like nails dragging against the paint of the car, ripping through the facade of safety. Mia, close your eyes. Lisa shouted, panic clawing at her throat. But her command fell on deaf ears. Mia's wide gaze found the source of the sound. Another figure was moving outside, creeping along the edge of the windshield. A grotesque caricature of a child, face twisted with a sickening smile, its fingers elongating against the glass. Mia. Lisa's voice trembled as she instinctively attempted to shield her daughter with her body. The crushing reality of fear gripped her heart, the kind of fear that numbed your bones and stripped you of courage. Let me see, Mommy. Mia pleaded, but her mother shook her head fiercely. Finally, Officer Daniels stomped on the gas. The vehicle screamed as it jerked forward, but the shadows weren't done with them. The figures moved, darting alongside the car, their laughter returning like a terrible wind, shrill and mocking. What do they want? Lisa cried. I don't know. Daniels yelled back, his grip tight on the wheel, eyes darting around for any sign of danger. The glow of distant fireworks painted the night sky dangerously bright, mingling with shadows that danced at the edge of their vision. Each burst illuminated forms just beyond the reach of the light, twisting, calling, beckoning with that uncanny laughter. They're coming. Mia shrieked, pointing as more figures materialized from the darkness, an army of shadowy children with hungry smiles, inching closer. I can't take this. Lisa sobbed, the fear coursing through her like electric shocks. We need to get out of here. Then a loud crash echoed behind them, jolting the car violently. It knocked Lisa's head against the window with a painful thud, stars exploding in her vision. What was that? Daniel shouted, panic now lining his face. Mommy? Mia whimpered again, her small voice breaking through Lisa's haze of terror. Resting her hand on Mia's head, Lisa could feel the tremors. They were trapped and the darkness outside was closing in, hungry for what little light they had left. Mommy. Mia whispered again, but there was something else, a new weight behind her words, an alarming realization that settled like ice in Lisa's chest. Before she could respond, the window shattered, and the childlike voices crescendoed, piercing through the night, hungry for what had been lost. What were they going to unleash? It was a horrifying thought, spiraling into the depths of her mind. But as the laughter became deafening, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was coming for them was far worse than she could imagine. In that dread-filled instant, one last question lingered: could they escape the shadows, or were they destined to join whatever nameless void had already claimed so many? Glass shards rained into the car, glinting grotesquely under the faint starlight. Time seemed to freeze for a breathless second. Lisa felt her heart clamp tightly, like a vice around her chest, while the cacophony of laughter grew into a wild tempest. Mia, we have to get down, she shouted, yanking her daughter low in the seat, the echoes of their screams drowned out by the high-pitched glee of those outside, a chorus of malicious delight. Officer Daniels fumbled with the gear shift, his hands trembling as he slammed the car in reverse. The tires screeched, fighting against the grip of unseen horrors closing in. But before he could man the escape, a loud thud hit the trunk, making the vehicle shudder as if something were trying to claw its way inside. "Mommy!" Mia screamed, pressing her small hands over her ears. "Keep your eyes shut," Lisa ordered, panicking as she saw shadows swirling around them, darting in and out of sight, a rhythmic dance of terror. The childlike figures were everywhere now, their limbs bending at unnatural angles, and their smiles twisted into something that should never be seen on innocent faces. As they shot backward into the night, illuminated fragments of light burst overhead. Fireworks continued their explosive assault on the sky. But above the explosions, the laughter grew darker, weaving through the night air as deadly as the smoke. In Lisa's mind, that laughter morphed from joy into a sinister spell, promising a fate they couldn't escape. "Faster! Go faster!" Lisa begged, her voice raw with fear. "They're right behind us. They're closing in." He stuttered, eyes wide with disbelief as he glanced at the rearview mirror. A mass of shadowy figures sprinted after them. Figures she dreaded to believe were once children. They chased with an otherworldly speed, sprinting without effort, their long limbs stretching, allowing them undesirable closeness mere moments away. Then, without warning, the car hit something hard, a bump so violent it rattled the frame. What was that? Lisa gasped, looking over her shoulder to see shifting forms dart into the woods like blackened phantoms. "Just keep your head down," Daniels roared, his focus shifting back to the road as he flipped a switch that illuminated the headlights. But the light only pushed back the darkness minimally. It served to spotlight the chaotic dance of terror unfolding around them. Little faces, deeply familiar yet irreparably warped, danced within the beams, their twisted features grinning wider, beckoning with fingers that looked like they walked the line between real and nightmarish. "Mia, baby, please stay quiet," Lisa urged softly, sensing the tension creeping back into her daughter's small body beside her. She could feel the icy grip of despair settling over them both. Then, as if responding to Lisa's rising dread, the laughter intensified, becoming a menacing symphony of joyful shrieks and unearthly wails. A flicker of movement caught her eye, a new shadow darting outside, too fast, jerking in an unnatural way. "What the hell is going on?" Daniels gasped, eyes flicking to the shadows. Panic painted his face as he slammed on the brakes abruptly. They skidded to a halt, surrounded by stillness that felt wrong, terrifyingly wrong. The silence was pregnant with expectancy, an ominous pause that suggested something unthinkable lingered just beyond the veil. They were all too aware of the pulse of darkness, the thrum of something utterly evil, watching them with hungry anticipation. "Please, let us go," Lisa cried out into the abyss outside, holding Mia tighter, breath shaking as she fought the desperate urge to look. Suddenly, a hand, small and clawed, appeared at the window. The fingers rapaciously tapped against the glass 1, 2, 3 times. "Mia," a voice whispered, threadbare and thin, carrying the familiarity of lost innocence, but laced with malice. "Mia, it's me." Lisa felt the world swirl, her heart racing as she turned to her daughter, who now had her eyes wide and glistening, entranced once again. "Mommy, I want to see." "No, no, no. Don't listen." Lisa's voice climbed in pitch as fresh terror clawed at her throat. The tapping grew more frantic and insistent, the shadows shifted closer. In that chilling moment, a shocking realization struck: all escape routes were being severed, and that terrible laughter was not just a taunt but a warning of the true horror lurking in the blackness. As the shadows crescendoed into an ear-splitting cacophony, Lisa caught a glimpse of movement behind them, her heart stopped, and the world fell silent. What lay just outside their reach? What unspeakable fate awaited them when the darkness surged forward? The darkness swallowed them whole, the moment stretched taut like a bowstring, ready to snap. Lisa gripped the door handle, her knuckles pale as she fought the urge to scream. Mia's eyes shimmered with glistening dread, drawn inexplicably to the hand that still pressed against the glass. The tapping intensified, no longer a playful invitation, but a feral demand. "Don't look," Lisa hissed, straining to keep her voice steady. "Mommy," Mia wailed, helplessly reaching for the window. "It's my friend." No, honey, it's but an idea flashed across Lisa's mind. She had to break the hold of whatever dark spell was binding Mia's gaze. Mia, listen to me. Remember that story about the shadow monsters? They're here. They're not your friends. Outside, the laughter warped and distorted into something grotesque, an unsettling echo that seemed to filter through the metal frame of the car. Each shrill giggle made the hair on Lisa's arms stand on end. She felt like a prey animal, encircled by a pack of wolves, instinct screaming at her to flee. Though there was nowhere to run, Daniels gripped the steering wheel, desperately searching for a way out. Sweat dripped from his forehead, mingling with the dust too thick to disappear. We have to get out of here, he gasped, wiping his brow with trembling fingers. From the shadows, a glimpse caught Lisa's eye. A fleeting figure dashed towards them, its pace inhuman and frantic. It was too fast to be real, too thin and elongated to be a child. She caught sight of its face, a too wide grin on a pale, twisted visage. The laughter completely stopped. Go! She screamed, raw panic spilling from her heart like too much blood. Drive! Now! Daniels slammed the gear into drive and pressed the accelerator hard. The tires spun against the gravel, pitching them forward. But in the rearview mirror, Lisa saw the figures keeping pace. Not just children anymore, they were transforming, darkening, shadows stretching into something darker, something with claws, and teeth, and a hunger that could taste them. Mia, hold on. She grabbed her daughter, clutching her to her chest with a ferocity that belied her despair. The car jolted as it bumped along the rough road, the laughter growing faint but never disappearing, always lurking just behind. Then the headlights flashed over a clearing. In the distance stood an old barn, dilapidated and looming like a specter. Get to the barn! Daniels shouted. We can't just keep driving. For a brief heartbeat, hope flickered in Lisa's chest. Sheltering in the barn might be their only option. But instinct warned her it could also serve as a trap, a dark maw gaping wide to swallow them whole. Just as they turned into the gravel lot, shadows began to seep from the forest, coiling around the edges of the barn like smoke. The figures whispered in a collected tone, 1,000 soft voices weaving promises of safety and lies. Step out, Mia, the whispers beckoned. We only want to play. No. Lisa cried, her heart racing. Don't listen to them. Before she could say another word, the door flew open, and Officer Daniels plunged outside, armed only with desperation. We need to make a stand. Lisa felt her pulse thundering in her ears, but there was no time to argue. She had to protect her daughter. Snatching the flashlight from the floor, she stepped out, light trembling in her hands as shadows thickened around them. The whispers turned to howls, demanding. Lisa turned to Daniels, eyes wide with terror. What if they can't be stopped? The light flickered and dimmed, revealing more figures, more hands, clawed and desperate for release. They were upon them, swarming like flies to the carcass, their laughter climbing higher, mingling with screams, sudden shrieks of despair slicing through the chaos. Run! Lisa yelled, pulling Mia away from the onslaught of darkness, but it was too late. Something grasped at her ankle, dragging her back, pulling her into the gloom as the shadows engulfed them. Darkness promised a revelation. What awaited inside that barn? What twisted truth lay behind the whispers? Could they escape the grip of the past, or would they succumb to the horrors created by their own fears? The grip tightened around Lisa's ankle, ice-cold fingers pinching into her flesh, yanking her toward the dark. Panic burst through her, a primal instinct kicking in as she reached for anything, the ground rough and unyielding beneath her. Mia screamed, a sound so raw and filled with fear that it pierced through the spiraling chaos. Let go of her! Daniels shouted, diving into the fray, flashlight beam swinging wildly. The light caught glimpses of twisted faces, eyes hungry and hollow, twisted mouths stretching impossibly wide. With a forceful jerk, he pulled Lisa back, dislodging the shadow-esque grasp momentarily. But the dark figures pulsed, relentless, their whispers insistent. They didn't want to play, they wanted to consume. Mommy! Mia's cries tore at Lisa's heart, grounding her in that moment. The urgency was life or death. She pushed through the instinct to flee, fighting against the terror wrapping itself around her soul. We need to move. Now. Inside the barn. Daniels yelled again, a note of desperation in his voice cutting through the haze of fear. They stumbled toward the looming structure, shadows clawing at their heels, the whispers morphing into an angry roar, echoing off the barn's wooden panels. The door creaked open as they rushed in, blocking what little light remained. The damp air inside was a stark change, suffocating, filled with the fetid scent of mold and decay. Lisa flicked the flashlight beam around, revealing otherworldly horrors scattered like forgotten relics, old tools, hay, and a circle of sticks drawn on the floor, dark and twisted. What is this? She breathed, dread spilling over her thoughts. She stepped closer, but Daniels yanked her back, breathless, eyes wild. Stay away from that. Just then, the barn door slammed shut behind them, sealing them in with an echo that could only be described as a death knell. Darkness pressed in, swallowing them like a blanket, stifling sound and vision alike. Do you hear that? Mia whispered, pulling on Lisa's sleeve. The whispers mingled with the creaks and groans of the barn. It felt alive, and they were intruders, trespassing into something ancient and malignant. Keep the light up. Daniels urged, panic lacing his voice. They could hear the scuffles outside, agitated, restless beasts gathering for a feast. A glimmer of a shadow peeked beneath the door, reaching, easing forward, thin fingers woven of darkness. What do they want? Lisa's voice was nearly a whisper, fear threading through her every word. They want to play, Mia breathed, her innocent eyes wide and terrible. They want us to join them. No. Lisa shouted, gripping Mia tight. We're not playing any games, not with them. Suddenly, a loud thud resounded as something slammed against the barn wall. The wooden structure trembled, dust cascading down like whispers of despair. Lisa felt nauseous, the temperature dropping as a sick heaviness settled around them. They're here, Daniels croaked in horror, backing away from the door where the shadows gathered. We won't survive if we stay inside. We have to find another way. But where? The only exit lay blocked by a storm of whispers, just waiting for them to step back into the darkness. The barn was no sanctuary, it felt like a cage. The whispers wailed, tormenting them, promising freedom with a price too high to pay. Mommy! Mia shouted again, this time not in fear, but in a chilling sense of acceptance. Stop! Lisa yelled, feeling her heart squeeze painfully tight, as if the darkness were tightening its grip around her very soul. You don't understand. Then, from the shadows, a figure began to materialize, writhing through the dim light like a nightmare drawn forth, its grin poised too wide for any human face. And with that, the shadows converged, the promise of dark lies filling the air. Would they escape this dark prison, or were they fated to join the twisted play forever? The barn felt like a tomb, each breath thick with dread. Lisa's heart raced, an erratic drum echoing louder than the whispers outside. The figure loomed closer, its limbs elongated and writhing in unnatural angles. Its grin stretched wider, revealing jagged teeth glistening with something dark and wet. Back! Daniels shouted, raising the flashlight, his hands trembling. The beam flickered, casting jerky shadows that danced across the walls, taunting them. We need to keep it away. The light caught the figure's face, pale and grotesque, with discordant features that twisted into a false semblance of a child's visage. Mia whimpered, her grip on Lisa's hand a lifeline as the horrifying thing leaned closer, its breath cold as ice. Here we go. Daniels lunged at what he believed to be a source of defense, a rusty pitchfork propped against the wall. He swung it wildly, the metal glinting as it punctured the air. But shadows drank in the light, absorbing it like a sponge, leaving nothing but darkness in its wake. Run! Lisa shouted, pulling Mia along, her voice tearing through the suffocating silence. They stumbled past the flickering light, desperate for a place to hide. The barn wasn't just alive, it was a predator, its eerie wind a cacophony of laughter and screams that swirled around them. As they reached a corner, Lisa caught sight of an old window, caked with grime. Up there. She pointed, hope flickering in her chest. If we can climb. But even as she spoke, the whispers intensified, rising into a fevered pitch. Join us, they sang, the notes sour and twisted, weaving a melody of despair. Suddenly, the barn walls groaned, splintering under the weight of their malevolence. Daniels hesitated. We can't just leave. What about now? Lisa screamed, adrenaline pulsing through her veins. With one fluid motion, she hoisted Mia into her arms and scrambled for the window. She felt freezing fingers brush against her back as a silhouette brushed close, barely a breath away. With a primal roar, Daniels gripped the pitchfork and drove it into the floorboards, easing his weight against it as he began to help Lisa up. Come on. I'll hold them off. His voice was defiant, yet a tremor betrayed his fear, but the shadows weren't done. They surged, crashing into Daniels with an unexpected ferocity. He staggered back, the pitchfork clattering to the ground. Lisa! Go! He shouted, his voice breaking as darkness enveloped him, heart racing, tears in her eyes. Lisa hoisted Mia higher and kicked at the window frame. Splinters dug into her palm as she finally wedged it open. Hold on tight. She warned Mia, before climbing out, scraping her knees on rough edges. They tumbled to the ground outside, hitting the dirt hard. Breathless, Lisa gasped, her heart pounding. The barn loomed behind them, a gaping mouth swallowing screams as shadows twisted together, mourning their lost prey. Mommy, what about him? Mia's voice was small, trembling. Don't look. Just run. Lisa commanded, her own panic now fueling the urgency. As they sprinted through the overgrown grass, a howl echoed from the barn. It rose and fell, a distorted song of loss. The clouds above churned ominously, casting the world in deep twilight, and the air thickened with the smell of decay. Where's the car? Lisa panted, desperation clawing at her throat. The old road leads to town. They raced past the field, shadows creeping behind them, pursuing with a relentless hunger. Each step felt heavier as the darkness seemed to wrap around them, almost like a living thing. Then, from the edge of the field, Lisa spotted a rusty pickup truck, half buried in weeds. There! She shouted, hope igniting like a flame. But as they reached it, her feet skidded to a halt. The driver's door swung open on its own, revealing the front seat, cloaked in shadows. Inside sat another figure, a twisted version of innocence, beckoning them closer. Come play it safe in here. A shiver danced down Lisa's spine. What was this place? Who else had been lured in? No! Lisa yelled, pulling Mia back. We won tea. But the air trembled, filled with whispers, and the shadows began to swell around them once more. Jump in, little ones, jump in. The night thundered, and Lisa realized this wasn't tea over. What else lay lurking in the dark, waiting for its chance to play? Run! Just run! Lisa gasped, dragging Mia along as they veered away from the cursed truck. The whispers morphed into a shrill cackle, taunting them, echoing through the fog of fading twilight. Shadows flared behind them, darting between the ghostly outlines of trees, their twisted forms dancing like puppets ensnared by invisible strings. Mommy, where do we go? Mia's voice was croaky, strained from both fear and the chill wrapping around them. Anywhere but here. Lisa shouted back, her breath hitching. Each step felt like trudging through quicksand, the air thickening with each passing moment. She scanned the landscape, her heart hammering. The path they had taken to the barn was now a desolate stretch of darkness glinting with dew-kissed blades of grass. Just then, a guttural growl emanated from the shadows behind them. It sounded so close, like an angry beast unleashed. Lisa twisted her head back, catching a glimpse of something monstrous lining its grotesque body with the cursed haze. Her instincts kicked into overdrive. Faster, Mia! Mia stumbled, nearly falling, but Lisa tightened her grip, hoisting her daughter's small frame. They veered towards a cluster of trees, a desperate vision of safety in their minds. As they reached the thicket, Lisa could feel the branches clawing at them like writhing fingers. She pushed through, the brambles tearing at her clothes, jabbing her skin, and she couldn't shake the sensation that the darkness behind them surged forward, desperate to drag them back. Suddenly, they emerged in a clearing, starkly illuminated by the eerie glow of a half-lit moon. A graveyard loomed ahead, headstones etched with time, an unnatural quiet hanging in the air. It felt wrong, so wrong. This way. Lisa whispered, her heart racing, not from exertion, but from the feeling that they'd walked into another trap. Mia's wide eyes were full of fear. What if they find us? Just stay quiet, Lisa whispered hoarsely, her voice trembling as adrenaline twisted in her gut. They crouched behind a tall headstone, the engraved name barely legible through a layer of moss. The air vibrated with an unsettling energy, and the faintest sound of laughter broke the silence. It was sickly sweet, mocking, reverberating around them as if the graveyard itself were alive, drenched in a history of despair. Let us go, Lisa urged, her voice a mere breath. They crept low, the chill of the earth seeping through their clothes. Each step felt like an echo, each rustle like a warning. The shadows clung to them, pressing tighter, closing in. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the night. The sound of wood splintering echoed from the barn. Lisa's heart lurched. It wasn't over. Mommy! Mia whimpered, clutching her tiny hands as fear radiated from her wide eyes. Before Lisa could reassure her, the ground beneath them trembled, and fragments of the graveyard erupted. Figures shifted in the darkness, decomposed faces rising from the grave, their moans mingling with the wind, raised arms reaching hungrily for the intruders. Run! Lisa screamed, flinging herself forward, dragging Mia along, their feet pounding against the cobblestones, past the ghastly figures clawing out of the earth. With terror enveloping them, they burst into the open, racing back toward the woods, but a chorus of malevolent laughter followed, echoing off the trees, closing in like a dark storm. They couldn't stop. They couldn't look back, but just ahead, through the trees, a flicker of light danced, an impossible beacon in the wilderness. Lisa squinted. Was it hope? Or another trap? Mia, we need to head for that light. She yelled as they barreled toward the luminescence. The giggles behind them climbed a furious pitch. The darkness surged forward. What if the light was leading them to something far worse? The chilling laughter crescendoed, and they sprang toward the light, knowing it might be their last chance as shadows loomed ever closer, hungry for their despair. As Lisa and Mia hurtled toward the flickering light, their hearts raced, desperation propelling them forward. The laughter echoed behind them, a twisted symphony that coiled around their minds. The shadows surged, clawing at their heels, yet the glow ahead beckoned like a siren's song. The moment they broke through the trees, they stood on the edge of a clearing. It was a ramshackle old house, the door ajar, the warm light spilling out like a lifebuoy in a stormy sea. Panic tangled with hope in Lisa's chest. Could this be a refuge? Or another trap? Mommy, I'm scared. Mia whimpered, clutching her mother's hand with unyielding strength. Me too, baby, but we have to try. Lisa urged, her voice trembling as she led Mia toward the door. Each step screamed to turn back, but there was no time for doubt. Behind them, the darkness crept closer, a viscous tide ready to swallow them whole. They dashed into the house, Lisa slamming the door shut behind them. Shadows flattered against the windows, clawing for entry, but inside felt oddly safe, stifling the echoes of laughter outside. Dust motes danced in the soft glow of a single bulb hanging precariously from the ceiling. Is anyone here? Lisa called, her voice wavering, scanning the disheveled room. Faded photographs lined the walls, faces locked in silent screams, lost souls frozen in time. A chill crawled up her spine, but there was no turning back now. Mia tugged at her sleeve, worry etched on her youthful face. We should go back outside. No. Lisa snapped, the urgency bubbling over. We have to find a way to protect ourselves. She stepped deeper into the house, where the walls cracked with age and something dark pulsed beneath the floorboards. Mia followed closely, her small frame trembling against the dread that clung to the air like fog. They made their way into a dark hallway, where another flicker of light caught Lisa's eye, a door slightly ajar at the end. As they approached, a voice floated through the crack, soft and coaxing. "Come play with us." Lisa's stomach twisted. The shadows grew bold outside, whispering sweet promises, shadows dancing like lost children. It was a sickening invitation they'd heard before, and she shook her head, moving forward. "We're not playing any games." "Mama, what if it's friendly?" Mia's innocent inquiry pierced Lisa's heart. "No. These things aren't our friends. Remember what I told you." Lisa squeezed Mia's hand, urging her to stay focused, stay strong. Taking a breath, Lisa pushed the door open, revealing a dim room filled with remnants of a past life, broken toys, scattered books, and a mirror, cracked and covered in grime. In the far corner stood a figure, shrouded in shadows, its features indistinct. With a chill soaking through Lisa's bones, she stepped closer, the air growing thick with fear. help us escape," the shadowed figure pleaded, voice drenched in sweetness. Lisa's heart thudded painfully against her ribs, a primal warning that screamed for her to run. "No!" she shouted, taking a step back, lifting Mia protectively at her side. "You can't have her." With a crack, the shadows at the window surged, the facade of tranquility shattered. The window exploded inward, shards raining down like nails, their piercing screams echoing through the night. "Join us, join us." The voices rebounded, a cacophony of innocent despair that threatened to drown out her resolve. They twisted and coiled around her, tugging her closer to the edge of darkness. "I want to let you take my daughter." With a new surge of strength, Lisa flung herself forward, charging past the figure. "We need to get out." In frantic motion, they raced back into the hallway, as darkness howled behind them. The house was alive, the very walls thrumming with the cries of those ensnared within. They burst through the front door into the cool night air, the moon hung high, a silver sentinel. But the shadows were everywhere, spilling out of the house, a wave of relentless hunger. Lisa tightened her grip on Mia, pushing them forward, through the field and into the forest, desperately seeking escape. Suddenly, as they rounded a bend in the path, blue lights swirled in the distance. Relief flooded Lisa's chest. It was a police car, the badge shimmering under the moonlight. "Help is here." she gasped. "Mom, hurry." Mia begged, her breath coming in gasps. As they neared the car, Officer Daniels emerged from the driver's seat, eyes wide with shock. "What happened? Get us out of here." Lisa cried, collapsing against the car, heart pounding. "Please, they're coming." With a fierce urgency, Daniels ushered them inside, his expression shifting between resolve and disbelief. But as the door slammed shut, the laughter shrieked back to life, reverberating outside, the shadows creeping nearer. "It's not over," Daniels yelled, heart racing as he scrambled into the driver's seat. "Hold on." The car peeled away, speeding into the night, engines roaring like lifelines amid chaos. Lisa clutched Mia, her heart leaping at the possibility of safety, but even as they sped away, Lisa felt the shadows dancing along their tail, whispering promises and taunts, sowing seeds of fear. The laughter, sweet yet sinister, promised that darkness was never far behind. As they reached the edge of Maplewood, Lisa turned back to catch just a glimpse, her gut clenching. The darkness remained, a smoldering threat hidden just below the surface. There would always be whispers in the night. Each 4th of July returned with unsettling memories, a lesson echoing through time. "Mommy, are we safe?" Mia's small voice broke through the turmoil of thoughts. "For now, yes," Lisa assured, though uncertainty gnawed at her. The night had changed them, and shadows would always linger. But they would face whatever came together. With love and strength, they could carry the weight. As the glow of the police car illuminated the road ahead, a new dawn began to rise, scattering the darkness yet again. Now, while we wrap this journey up, I need you to do something important. Subscribe immediately to the channel. You don't want to miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, so we can keep bringing you these chills. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. Let us know what you think. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Real fans show their support, and you are one of them.